Tom. Hello everybody, Tom Fox here, welcoming you to something a little bit different than my usual Nintendo Direct reaction videos. Usually what I would do is I would like stream or record myself reacting to a Direct and post it online. However, ran into a bit of a snag when the Pokemon Company started, you know, basically they blocked my video worldwide no matter what kind of edits I put to it, so I'm going to be doing a sort of post-reaction review of what we saw in the trailers there in the Direct, and just sort of give my thoughts and feelings about them. First off, we did get titles for them, Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield, which I think is very fitting for the region that it's in. The Galar region, very much based off the UK, and when I think Sword and Shield, I think like medieval sort of times. I think medieval times, I think sort of like that like King Arthur's court, like Knights of the Round Table kind of thing, and you know, Sword and Shield fits that very well. And obviously King Arthur was from England. But anyway, initially when Ishihara was talking about the other regions, where it's like, oh, you've been across all these regions and traveled with many different Pokemon, I kind of thought it was going to lead into an omnibus game. Basically a game that that would feature all of the regions that we've gone to so far. I don't know what they would have done with it, but I would have been excited for that. I'm glad we got Gen 8, but and you know, an omnibus game would have been nice as well. I mean, like just as well, it would have been nice if it was like Gen 8 plus the other regions from the other generations. But considering Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee just came out recently, which is a remake of Gen 1. And the fact that they said they're working on a new Pokemon, new title in the main series Pokemon franchise, that more alludes to the fact that it would have been not just a rehash of previous areas, but rather an advancement to a new region, to get more Pokemon, new rules, things along those lines. Also, speaking of regions, when I first saw the Galar region, however you pronounce that, I'm pretty sure they did in the Direct. I don't remember how it was. It got me initially thinking that was more of an Eastern European feel. Mostly because of like the hills and windmills. I was thinking more along like Eastern European. But later though, a lot of like the landscape, the architecture and whatnot, and the map of the Galar region in general, very obviously based off of the United Kingdom, England, Wales, and Scotland. But yeah, so we got that as well. One thing I noticed as well is that the graphics seem to be sort of an enhancement on what we saw in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, which I might be reading too far into this, but to me kind of makes it seem like that they had used Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee as sort of a jumping off point so they could really get in touch with what the Switch could do. But honestly, it could just be that it's like, it could just be a similar art style that, you know, they've done in the past. Like if you look at like at the drawings of them, not like the 3D models, you know, Gen 7, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee and this all have very similar appearances with, you know, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee having a little bit more of a, youthful, juvenile. I don't know how I would want to do it. Like the characters look smaller in that game than they do in this reveal trailer for Sword and Shield. That's just my take on it. However, landscapes seem much more varied than they were in Alola, but Alola was a tropical island, so of course they're going to seem more varied. You've got a temperate climate, so you're going to have a wider variety of biomes, of landscapes to work with there. Even going so far as have like the northern part of it be like almost entirely ice. Like the northern like third of it seems to be entirely made of ice. So that's gonna be interesting. We saw a little bit in Sinnoh with the mountainous region, but we really haven't seen a portion of a game, or we haven't really seen a Pokemon game where a larger portion of it was ice. So that's gonna be very interesting to see as well. And then there was the so I know that this is an actual thing in the UK, but that pattern of like the humanoid figure on the grassy hill, I get the feeling that aside from being a reference to Real World UK, I think this, I didn't actually know about it beforehand, but I think someone in my chat said it was either in England or Scotland. I feel like that is going to be alluding to a legendary Pokemon. whether it's going to be one of the two titular ones, because usually, at least starting from Gen 2, actually, they put the legendary Pokemon of each version on the box art. So it could be a reference, it could be in reference to those, or possibly in reference to the inevitable third legendary that's usually there, similar to like Rayquaza or Giratina, Kyurem, etc. Or a third option is that it could be a mythical Pokemon as well. It could be a Pokemon that that we're not going to see until it's available in like a mystery gift. However, mythical Pokemon are generally smaller, and the if you know, judging by like the little other little drawings around the marking on the hill there, it seems like it's a much more massive Pokemon, or a massive figure in general. It might not be a Pokemon at all. I'm thinking it might be an allusion to a legendary Pokemon, but we'll just have to see how that is when we get there. What was my next point here? Oh, the bit of the player character walking into the soccer pitch. That struck me as very interesting. Obviously, in England, soccer is huge in England, or football if you're of the non-American audience. I don't know if there's any other country in the world that calls soccer soccer, but we do, so I'm gonna continue to refer to it as soccer. So that could either be what the gyms are in the game, or I initially thought that it could be a secondary mode similar to like Pokemon contests in Gen 3. However, what really sort of set me off on it not being a secondary mode is the map of the Galar region in general. Around the map, first off, it's a good size map. I don't think it's like too much bigger, too much smaller than other regions we've seen before. And you know, that's good. We've had trouble in the past with games where it's like there was sometimes where it was like there's space where cities were very few and far between. A good example of that is Gen 3 with the major water portions and having encounters at every tile possibly. But it's a good sized map. But getting back on track, if you look at like the cities on the map, you'll notice that there are stadiums. And the stadiums look very similar to what you'd see in real world as like, you know, like at least in the US, a football stadium, like, cause in the US, we don't really think about soccer that much, but like they're probably more closer akin to soccer stadiums. But if you notice, there aren't as many of them as there would be gyms in a normal Pokemon game. So that kind of has me thinking that it's going to be closer in structure to Gen 7, where we're probably going to see like more trials throughout the region, and the stadiums are going to act as like the Kahuna battles. It might not be that exactly. It could be that there are just 4 stadiums and 4 gyms and that's it. Or it could very well mean that the Elite Four, you know, the Elite Four battles take place in these stadiums or something along those lines. It could be something as convoluted as that. I'm still more of the mind though that we're going to see less of an 8-badge structure and more of a Trials and Grand Trial structure like we saw last generation. But aside from that, the big thing that y'all probably want me to talk about are the starters. We got Grookey, the Chimp Pokemon, Scorbunny, the Rabbit Pokemon, and Sobble, I think was a Tadpole, maybe? Or like a Mudskip or something like that? I don't know. I was sort of talking over that bit, so I didn't really catch that. But anywho, Grookey is personally my favorite. I like the design. It's cute, but also has itself open up to like to evolution. Like it's cute, but also tough. It's sort of like that good appeal on both ends of that spectrum there, of the cute to cool factor there. On that one, it's got that its muzzle looks like an avocado pit, which I like a lot. I like the fact that it's just banging on a rock with a stick in the trailer. It's a very expressive Pokemon. I like it very much. Scorbunny was interesting to me. I'd say it's probably my least favorite, but not by much. My least favorite, because I really like Sobble as well, because I feel like Sobble's open up to a lot of potential. But either way. But anyway, going back to Scorbunny. Scorbunny has very much a soccer motif about it, in the bandages and just the way it sort of presents itself. It has a very confident energy about it, which I like. I will say the one negative, depending on how you look at it, is the fact that its design more or less suggests a firefighting type. It could be something completely different, given that it sort of has a soccer motif to it. Could be fire ground, because you spend most of your time like with your playing the game with your feet, and feet on the ground more represents the ground, or like fire, possibly electricity. He could be a fire dark type like Incineroar and just like flops all the time, because that's a big thing in soccer. So yeah, but it's designed mostly like the bandages and it's sort of like the way it sort of presents itself. Its confidence sort of suggests a firefighting type evolution. And then finally Sobble, which I think already, even like a few hours after the direct is ended, has already been getting the short end of the stick. I think its design opens it up to the most potential. Because traditionally I've seen it where it's like people don't like the water type starter, and then it ends up having a really good evolution. People didn't like Oshawott. I think it had a really good evolution in Duwat and Samurott. People didn't like, I think people liked Froakie. People didn't like Poplio. I don't think Brionne was a good secondary evolution, but I love Primarina as a final evolution for it. So I wouldn't count out the water starter yet. It looks plain and it looks a little doofy, but I think it has a lot of potential. And in terms of possible evolution dual typing, it does have camouflage, which I don't know if that would open it up to dual typing in general, because a lot of water Pokemon could have camouflage. Some people in my chat when I was doing the reaction said that it could be a water ghost type. Due to the camouflage, which would be a very interesting type, and we've only seen that maybe once or twice before. So it'd be a very interesting typing for a starter. So, we'll just have to wait and see. I think it'd be pretty neat if they went back to form with Gen 2 and just had them all remain as pure grass, pure fire, pure water types as well. Because we haven't seen that in ages in terms of that. If you wanted pure forms of starters, you'd have to pick and choose from different generations. We haven't seen a generation in a long time where all the starters, their final evolutions, also had monotyping. So that'd be interesting to see. But in the meantime, though, there's always speculation of what could possibly be for dual typing. In my opinion, I would like to see new combinations, because generally we don't see a lot of new combinations. But overall, devs will do what they're gonna do, And sometimes the combinations don't really, maybe they'll be, too powerful, too weak. They won't make sense from like the dev standpoint. They don't make sense, but it's fantasy, so it all depends on what the devs want to do, and that's generally how it is with most games, honestly. But anywho, I think I touched on everything I wanted to go over on my list here for Pokemon Sword and Shield. I'm very excited for them to come out. Release date, they generally say late 2019, but I think release date is usually for these Pokemon games is early to mid-November. And we're probably gonna see those release dates as well in my humblest of opinions / predictions. So hopefully. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my little thoughts presentation here about the new Pokemon games, the new upcoming Pokemon games, and I hope you all have the good rest of your day. Later!